If you're a UK supplier, have you ever felt completely locked out of a public sector contract for years on end? Well, this explainer is for you. The Procurement Act 2023 is here, and trust me, it's completely changing the game when it comes to frameworks. Let's break down exactly what this means for your business. Here's what we're going to cover. We'll start with a new era in procurement, then get into the basics of what a framework actually is. Then we'll dive into the real game changer, open frameworks. After that, we'll look at the new opportunities this creates, how you can actually win a contract, and finish up with your next move. It's a simple roadmap to get you up to speed. So let's just dive right in, shall we? Section 1, a new era for procurement. This is all about unlocking those public sector opportunities that might have felt out of reach before. Now, does this sound familiar? You spot the perfect opportunity, you put a bid in, you don't get it, and then that's it. You realize you're shut out from that whole line of work for the next 4 years. It's a super common frustration, especially for small and medium-sized businesses. Well, that's the exact problem the new Procurement Act is designed to tackle. It's all about creating a system that is simpler, way more flexible, and a lot more transparent. And look, this isn't just some minor adjustment. We're talking about a fundamental overhaul of the rules. Okay, to really get why these changes are such a big deal, we need to make sure we're all on the same page with the basics. So, Section 2. What even is a framework? Let's look at the building blocks here. You know, in really simple terms, just think of it as a pre-approved list. A contracting authority, say a government department, sets up an agreement with a group of suppliers to provide certain things, whether it's goods or services, over a specific period of time. And why do they even bother doing this? Well, honestly, it just makes everything way more efficient. A framework lays down the basic terms, it creates this pool of suppliers who've already been vetted, and it makes it so much faster and easier for the public sector to buy things they need again and again, without having to run a full-blown procurement process every single time. And this brings us to the absolute core of this explainer, the real game changer here, open frameworks. This is the big shift from those closed doors we were just talking about to brand new opportunities. First, let's quickly touch on the system we all know, what we're calling the closed framework. This is the model that's been the standard for years and years. And the process is, well, it's pretty rigid, right? There's a single tender right at the start, which creates a fixed list of suppliers. And that's it. For up to 4 years, the door is shut. If you didn't make that initial list, you just had to sit and wait. That's that locked out feeling right there. But now the Procurement Act is bringing in the open framework, and this thing is designed to be so much more dynamic and in tune with the market. So how does this new model actually work? Well, an open framework is what they call a scheme, and it can last for up to 8 years. But here is the crucial bit. It has periodic reopenings. This means that at set times, new suppliers can apply to join, finally breaking that old, frustrating cycle of being locked out. I mean, when you put them side by side, the difference is just stark. We're going from a fixed 4-year term to an 8-year scheme, from absolutely no new suppliers to regular reopenings. Instead of a single one-off competition, you get this ongoing refresh of suppliers. This is huge. It helps fight market stagnation and gives buyers access to new innovations as they happen. So what does all of this actually mean for your business? This is the most important question, right? Let's look at the real concrete opportunities this new system is creating. The benefits for suppliers are massive. The barrier to entry is finally lower. If you miss that first window, it's not the end of the world. You're not locked out for years. Once you're on the framework, the admin burden gets a lot lighter. You get more chances to innovate your offering. And this whole system is really designed to be friendlier to SMEs and new businesses trying to break in. And you know, it's not just good for individual suppliers. It's genuinely good for the entire marketplace. It makes sure there's sustained competition, which keeps everybody on their toes. It gives public bodies access to the latest and greatest innovations, and it helps build a supply chain that's just more flexible and resilient. Okay, so you did it. You successfully joined an open framework. That's fantastic. But how do you actually win some work? Let's walk through the call-off process. That's the fancy term for how individual contracts are actually awarded. There are basically 2 main paths. The default, the one you'll see most often, is competitive selection. Think of it as a mini competition, where eligible suppliers on the framework get invited to bid for a specific job. The other path is a direct award.
Now, this is less common and it's only allowed under really strict conditions. Like, for instance, if the framework already has a clear, objective ranking system for its suppliers.
Now, there are a couple of key procedural changes you absolutely need to know about. First, a contract award notice has to be published before a contract gets signed. That's a big win for transparency. And second, that mandatory standstill period, that traditional waiting time after a winner's announced, is gone for these call-off contracts. This means work can get started much, much faster once you've won. Okay, we've covered a lot of ground here. So let's wrap this all up with your next move and really focus on the key takeaways from all of this. So let's just boil it all down. The number one takeaway is that this Procurement Act is modernizing the entire system. The biggest change, for sure, is open frameworks, which give you regular shots at getting on board. The process for winning the actual work is now more streamlined, but also more transparent. But listen, if there's only one thing you remember from this, make it this: the devil is always in the detail. You have to read the specific tender documents, because that's where the exact rules for each individual framework are going to be. Ultimately, this new act represents a massive shift. It's designed to tear down those old barriers and create a public sector marketplace that's more dynamic, more competitive, and more innovative. For the first time in a long time for many businesses, the door is genuinely open. The only question left is, are you ready to compete?